If you're thinking about moving to Bend, there's one mistake that I see people make over and over again when they move here. And it's the reason that some families feel absolutely blindsided by the reality of the lifestyle they're living when they move here versus what they thought they were gonna live when they were watching YouTube or looking at Instagram. And that's why in this video, I'm breaking down my top 10 biggest mistakes people make when they move here. And you better stick around for number one at the end because it's a big one. And if we haven't met yet, my name is Callahan. I'm a realtor here in Bend, and I specialize in helping people every day make the move to Bend and making sure that they buy the right house and most importantly, in the right neighborhood the first time around. So without further ado, let's get into the first mistake that I always see people make. Let's go. Okay, mistake number 10. Treating Bend like it's all the same. People think they're moving to Bend and they're getting this, walk to the cafe, drive to the mountains super quickly, your backyard to the trails. And the reality is there are a lot of different lifestyles that you can have in Bend. You can certainly have that if you live on the west side, but if you live on the east side, you're gonna have a totally different experience. And similarly, if you get a rural acreage, you're gonna feel like you're out in the woods and it's more bucolic, that farm setting. Or if you wanna live in a small town like Sisters, a town of 2,000 people where everybody knows each other's names, you can have that too. But the most important thing is that you know what you're getting into. So let's break down the core areas around Bend and really what the vibe is in each of them. So you have like kind of a broad stroke sense of what's going on, okay? So first up, we've got the west side. And the west side is that classic live at the heart of Bend. You get to walk to Sparrow Bakery. You get to ride your mountain bike all the way to Phil's Trail without even touching a car. You get to walk to Summit High School. Your kid can drive their 4Runner there. And you have everything at its fingertips. But the most important thing to understand about this side is that it's expensive. The median price here is about 1.3. You can find all sorts of different options, but you got to be willing to spend if you want to live on the west side and get that kind of classic Instagram Bend lifestyle. Now let's bring us over to the east side, which is a totally different vibe. As soon as you get to the east side, which is not the east side of the river, but the east side of Highway 97, you get into much more suburban areas. So the big thing to understand about Bend is that there's been a rapid amount of growth over the last 10 years and really over the last 20. And what that means is that we have a lot of new neighborhoods. And with these new neighborhoods, you don't get the classic old Bend where it's kind of designed around the horse, designed around the mill, but rather it's big builders coming in, building suburbs, and it feels like you could be kind of anywhere in America with the suburbs. So if you want that suburban lifestyle, then the east side of Bend is totally your bet. And the value on the east side of Bend is that you can get into some homes for much, much cheaper than the west side of Bend. So the median price in Bend, we're looking at about $720,000. Now let's say you want to live on a little bit of acreage. Say if you're comfortable with 1 acre, but you still want to be within 10 minutes of town, you could check out spots like the Deschutes River Woods where you can literally get an acre. It's some of the cheapest price per square foot of lot. It's sub $20 per square foot of lot because every house is almost an acre, and you can get some incredible setups where you have a well, you have septics, your neighbors have some cute little pigs in the backyard, and then you can bike to town down Brookswood Corridor the whole way. And then finally, let's talk a little bit about the neighboring towns that you should be aware of. You've got Sisters, Redmond, and Tumalo. Let's start with Sisters. Sisters is one of my favorites. It's right at the base of the mountains. You have probably the best in-town views of the Three Sisters. They just get this absolutely incredible lighting as the sun rises from the east. There's incredible road cycling around there. The town is really walkable, but it's only 2,000 people. It feels very much kind of like a Western town nouveau. Take it 50 years ago, it was a legit Western town. Now a lot more money's moved in, and so it's a little bit more of that bougie Western. But if you want that small town experience where you can basically walk around town and know everybody, 2,000 people, it is totally worth checking out. One thing I should mention about Sisters is they do have the top rated schools in Central Oregon. So if a high school is your priority, I would definitely check that out because for whatever reason, there is just a lot of money that gets pumped into those schools. They're beautiful, people love them, good athletic programs, and it's a good setup. Okay, now let's talk about Redmond because Redmond is growing incredibly fast, just like Bend. And the reason is that it's even more accessible price-wise to get into a nice home. It's got got a great little downtown. They've got good schools as well. There's the Redmond Proficiency Academy. It still has a great walkable downtown and is totally worth checking out if you want to be close to Bend but are cool being to the north and kind of in that smaller town, kind of ranch town vibe. Okay, and finally, outskirts towns, we have Tumalo. For the longest time, Tumalo was kind of just a junction that very few people knew about, but it's a total treasure. It's right on the Deschutes, just about 10 minutes northwest of Bend. They just in the last handful of years have gotten the Bite, which is an amazing spot where you can get a food cart. So there's all sorts of good brews, and then there's tons of good food. And then right across the street, you've got Bend cider and Tumalo cider, which is a cool story in itself. And in Tumalo, you're going to get a lot more of the like livestock, kind of 20-acre plus ranches. You can get some beautiful stuff, especially in walkable Tumalo. It's really cool. A super easy jaunt into Bend. Again, that 10-minute drive down Highway 20. Okay, and that's my favorite part about Bend is that there's so many different vibes that you can have. But the most important thing is that you know what vibe you want, you know that there's different vibes to be had, and you know what vibes you don't want. So if you have any questions at all about that, make sure you give me a call. We can chat about it. I can ask you some questions, do the whole human design, Enneagram, get to know you, and we can help place you in the right vibe and then go from there. Okay, that brings us to mistake number 9 that I see people making, and that is underestimating Bend's daily traffic patterns. Now, a lot of times people will move here thinking, I'm gonna move into this small town, there's no traffic, it's not a big deal. And it's true, traffic isn't too bad, but it really makes a big difference when you, let's say for example, you got a young family, you live in Southwest, you go to school up in Northeast, say at Trinity Lutheran, and then you're commuting there for school, and then all of your activities are there in the evening. And so, yeah, it's only a 12-minute commute each way, but when you do it 3 times a day, that's 24 times 3, that's 72. That's a lot of time in the car. And not even just time in the car, but time in the car in traffic, which is very different than just time in the car on a highway. That's what I personally believe. So that's why it's really important to understand what are the traffic patterns. Now, I will say this, it's much easier to go north and south in Bend, like along Highway 97, than it is to go east and west. And that the reason is East and West Bend is choked up by river crossings. There's only a handful of river crossings and they always get choked up at commute times. So if you're needing to constantly cross like Greenwood or Colorado, Galveston, then you're gonna get slammed with traffic if you're not prepared for it. So that's really important to understand is basically what is my commute pattern? It's going to be easier to go north and south, and it's easier to go north and south on the east side than it is on the west side, but still always harder to go east and west. So factor that into your commute patterns. The other things about commutes to be aware of is that, let's say you want to live in Sisters or Redmond, and you're trying to decide between the two. Personally speaking, I think the highway between Sisters and Bend is more dangerous than the highway between Redmond and Bend. And here's why. Between Sisters and Bend, you're on Highway 20 and you're heading east, really southeast with the commute, and then northwest with your commute home. And if you're doing that, the sun is in your eyes, you're driving a 2-lane highway without a median, without a divider, and we see a lot of, gnarly accidents when we get a little patch of ice or the sun's in people's eyes, and it's a really unfortunate highway. Whereas if you're driving from Redmond to Bend, you're driving basically from the north to the south, straight shot. You're on Highway 97. It's divided. It's super secure. Yeah, you'll get traffic, but it's pretty mellow as long as you got a nice, safe traveling distance. So that is totally something to be aware of. I would way rather make a daily commute from Redmond to Bend than I would from Sisters to Bend. So be aware of that. If you're enjoying this content, make sure you hit the like and subscribe button. And if you're thinking about moving to Bend soon, definitely give me a call, and always make sure you download that relocation guide. We've got the link right here. You can click the link in the description below. Details everything you need to know, all the people you need to know before moving here, contractors, utility services, what it takes to buy a house here, the big differences in all the neighborhoods, everything you need to know. It's awesome. I put a lot of energy into it. Make sure you download that and check it out when you get a chance. Okay, onwards. Mistake number 8. This is a little bit of a joke, but it's true. Not moving here 10 years ago and instead moving here today. What's that classic adage? The best time to plant a tree is 30, 40 years ago, and the next best time is today. And Bend is no different. Man, if you were moving here 10 years ago, we'd find you a house for basically a third of the price. It'd be no problem, not much competition. And then over the next 10 years, your investment would double or maybe almost triple depending on where you are. But that's not the reality. But the truth is Bend continues to grow. It's at about 103,000. It's projected to hit, I think, 140,000 in the next 20 years. So it's going to continue to grow. Prices will inevitably go up over the long term. We never know what's going to happen in the short term. Real estate is definitely a long-term game. But if you're waiting on the fence to jump in 20 years, you're going to look back and be happy you did, as long as you're committed for the long term. Anyways, as always, plant your trees 30 years ago, but if you can't, plant one today. And when in doubt, just plant some trees because it's fun, kids love it, and it's fun to watch these trees grow. Okay, mistake number 7 that I see people make over and over again, and that is assuming that the neighborhood you choose will automatically have great schools and that you're going to be cool with. Yes, Bend has good schools, but they also have less good schools, and you have to be really intentional about which schools you plant yourself in, which school you want to be nearby. And so that's why in this map I have, again, you can download it with the QR code here, or you can click the link in the description below. I have all the school districts laid out so that you can see, I plant myself here in this neighborhood. Am I going to be in Caldera? Am I going to be in Bend? Am I going to be in Summit or Mountain View? And then we can get down all the way into the elementary school. Or again, if you're like wanting to do Waldorf, Montessori, you can live anywhere. But again, the commute's a big factor to that. So if schools are a factor for you, make sure that you plant yourself in a spot where you know you're going to want to be for the long term. And then you can rest easy that commutes are going to be easy. You're in the right school district that you're excited about and can basically settle in and don't have to worry about moving again in the next 5 to 10 years. Okay, mistake number 6. And that's underestimating Bend's cost of living. There's no doubt that Bend is expensive, but it could be cheaper if you're coming from San Francisco, LA, Seattle, one of these big urban areas. So it could be a breath of fresh air financially. But besides housing prices, there's a few other costs that you need to be aware of. Number 1, fire insurance, depending on where you are, can be expensive. It can be upwards of $1,000 a month, depending on where you are. In some places it's chill and it's not a big deal. A lot of places it is, but if you're not prepared for getting into that primo location with, say, the primo schools or whatever it is, you want to be on acreage, say out Deschutes River Woods, or you want to be Black Butte Ranch beyond Sisters, wherever it is, you need to be aware of what that can add on in terms of the fire insurance, if you can even get fire insurance. The other thing you need to be aware of is there are a lot of HOAs here. Now, a lot of them aren't too bad financially, but some of them get expensive. Some of them can be quite expensive. And if you're not prepared for that on your monthly fee of saying, oh, I want to be in this neighborhood, okay, I'll sacrifice going to the HOA, and not aware of how much that's going to cost you, that's really important to factor into your overall budget. And lastly, the other one that I see people a little bit surprised by, especially if they're moving from sunny SoCal where they're wearing flip-flops every day and they don't even know that houses need air conditioners, or maybe some houses don't even have heaters. What are the costs here in the spring and the fall, but also what is the cooling cost in the summertime? What is the heating cost in the winter? And how does that factor into my bottom line of buying this house and making it all pencil out at the end of the day? Because at the end of the day, there's nothing worse than moving into a home and just feeling house rich but cash poor. I want you to really be able to enjoy this lifestyle when you move here. And there's a lot of ways we can make that happen. And the big thing is just being really intentional about what that budget looks like at the end of the day, factoring in all the unknowns, making sure you factor in if you want to get a season pass to Bachelor. They just had their opening day yesterday. Everybody's stoked, even though there's only 10 runs open, but it's okay. It's going to be okay because I'm sitting here in this beautiful day on Christmas Eve. Happy holidays, by the way. Okay, mistake numero 5. And that is misunderstanding or underestimating the needs of your older home here in Bend. A lot of people tell me, hey, I want to find a home with character here in Bend. And I say, yeah, we can get you a home with character and a honey-do list that comes with it, because a lot of these old homes, they can be a doozy. They have minimal insulation. Their wiring might be old and I need to replace the panel. We might need to replace water pipes. There's all sorts of things that might need to occur. And if you're not ready to roll up your sleeves or bust out your wallet to spend some money, it can be a real bummer from time and money going into these houses. So if you're looking at, say, Old Bend and we're gonna find you one of these charming craftsman homes, I need you to be aware that this could be a project, will be a project. I was actually just looking at a home in Deschutes River Woods for some clients the other day, and it is a project. I dare not even show videos on it, but they're stoked on it because the subfloor is good. They're carpenters. They want to do all the work themselves, but they're going to have to put about $100,000 of value in materials and their sweat equity to bring up to par. Now, granted, this is like a sweet project and a huge project, but it's something you need to be aware of. And these old homes, they take some love, but they're worth it because they've got a ton of charm. So anyways, all that to say, be aware, make sure you know what you're getting into. My biggest role when I'm working with clients is they fall in love with the home, and I'm kind of like that judgmental girlfriend of like, hey, have you considered this? Have you considered this? Have you seen this red flag? I'm all about pointing out red flags until we know it's a go, and then once it's a go, we'll make it happen. We'll get a great deal for you. But until then, I'm gonna be like, I don't know about that. You know what I'm saying? Because I want you to know what you're getting into. I want you to be protected. My job is to protect you. And then once it's a full go, then we make it happen. I hope that makes sense. Anyways, onwards to the next mistake. Okay, mistake number 4, expecting to find the right home in one quick weekend trip. That is possible, but it's not always gonna happen, and I need you to be prepared for that. The reason is this: you might see there's a ton of options on Zillow of like, okay, I'll just show up and we'll choose one, we'll make it happen, done deal, bingo, bango, mongo. You can totally do that, but here's the way it works. Yeah, there's a ton of houses on the market, but the best houses, not always the best, but a lot of the best houses, they hit the market and they sell quickly, and it's like they were never even there, you never even were aware of them. So it's like, once we really hone in on your search, yeah, you can, the biggest thing is getting to know what neighborhood you want to be in on that first weekend. And I'll send you through the laps and make sure that you're doing your commute and walking to the coffee shop and making sure they've got your gluten-free bagels that you're cool with, and just being cool with the right schools, the whole experience, getting that first neighborhood dialed in. And then, yeah, if we find your house and we make it happen, perfect. But once you really like activate the reticular activating system, you hone in on your reality, the right house pops up, it'll pop up and be gone in a minute. Just this past weekend, there were some amazing houses that hit the market and had 4 offers and were sold by Sunday. They hit the market on Friday. That's how fast they went. And so you need to be aware of, if you really tuned into your search, that house will pop up and will make it happen, but it might be making it happen from afar after you visited for that first weekend if you're ready to pull the trigger when those right houses pop up. So I hope that makes sense to you. And granted, again, if you come first time, we see that perfect house and it's been on the market for 6 months and we have that negotiation to our leverage, then that's even better, but it's still unlikely. So be mindful of that. Okay, mistake number 3, falling in love with the home and ignoring the community around it. This is a huge one because the community is everything. Yeah, you fall in love with that home, but maybe you're looking for like a really chill, tranquil lifestyle. Maybe you've already raised your family. You just want to come and retire, drink your coffee, listen to the birds in the morning, and not be encumbered with a bunch of chaos of children and bikes and activity, or people like, working on their cars in the driveway. Whatever it is, you need to be aware of what's going on around you. It can be so easy to come in, find that house you like, have tunnel vision, and then all of a sudden you realize, wait a minute, what's this lifestyle? Oh no, this is way noisier. Or similarly, you bring the ruckus, you bring those 4 kids in the Chevy Chase, station wagon, and you're like, let's go. And then you're surrounded by everybody who's like, you guys are too loud, too noisy. You're having way too much fun over there. You got to chill out. So that's really important that we find the spot, walk the neighborhoods, meet the neighbors. Anytime I'm in a new neighborhood, I'm trying to meet the neighbors to catch a vibe of what they're like and what they like in the neighborhood, and just see what's a fit. So that's super, super important. I've always harp on this, and I do. Find the right neighborhood, then the right house appears. That's the order I like to do it. And it can vary street by street within a certain neighborhood. It's wild how much it can change. So all that to say, slow your roll. Yeah, we found the right house, but make sure it's the right neighborhood as well. Okay, mistake number 2, and that is trying to bring, copy and paste, basically, your old city into Bend. Here's a perfect example of this. I was just over in New York City, and they have the most amazing dim sum down in Chinatown, the kind of place where you can go in there and it's only Chinese speaking folk, and they all look at you for a while, look you up and down, and then they're stoked you're there. They're like, how did you know about this spot? And it's like, it's got the best food. And that's just the way it goes here in Bend. You will not find that big sense of diversity or that late night nightclub going on that you have in the big city. And so you got to embrace it. You got to understand that the place closes down pretty early. There's geese honking around like you can hear now, but it's just a totally different lifestyle. It's a growing mountain town. It's a medium-sized mountain town. So it's going to be totally different than the big city. You can't get a direct flight back to the East Village in New York. You can't get a direct flight, but you can get a good connecting flight to a commuter spot like Denver, like San Francisco, like LA. But again, you got to be prepared that you're living here in the mountains. You live in the slower pace of life. You're riding your bike, you're riding your snowboard, you're riding your mountain bike, and you're not always going to the discotheque late at night. Anyways, so just be prepared to come embrace the culture here and leave your city culture behind, where you can visit it. The cities are best for visiting, in my opinion. And finally, drum roll please, mistake number one that I see people making over and over again. We kind of touched on it earlier, but it's the most important thing, is buying a home in the wrong neighborhood, making sure that it fits all your boxes, that your commute's good, the schools are good, your lifestyle's good, and that you're cool with the surrounding noises, whether it's a kiddos are crying or the birds, the quiet, solitude of the birds, or it's some cute little pigs that are neighbors. Making sure you're good with the neighborhood, you're good with the lifestyle that comes, you like the vibe of it. So the most important thing is that you choose the right neighborhood, and then the right house will come. I promise you. We get you planted in the right neighborhood, dial in on your home search, and then it's easy, 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 as long as you're a little bit patient, to get the right house, the right condo, the right townhome when it pops up. The biggest thing, again, is honing in on that search. So if you're interested in moving to Bend in 1 month, 2 months, 2 years, 4 years, it doesn't matter. Give me a call. We'll get you plugged into the right neighborhood. Then once we have the right neighborhood, I'll get you dialed in on this really cool AI search tool I have that hones in on exactly what you're looking for. And then when that spot pops up, we'll talk about it. And then if you like it, we can make it happen. Anyways, my name is Luke Callahan. If you're enjoying this, again, like and subscribe, share the video, and I will see you in the next video. Take care.